Since my instruction's having to move to all virtual this semester, I've been trying to focus on ways to make my live sessions more about helping students and providing feedback instead of just giving notes. So that is why I invented something called entrance tickets. So the entrance tickets are actually going to be the homework assignments that students will do outside of class time. So we use Google Classroom at my school. I'm clicking on it. So what the students will see when they open it up is a Google form where they're providing some basic information for me. And then there's an instructional video embedded right there within the Google form and a place for them to upload a copy of their notes that they are expected to take on paper or type out. Or if they didn't take the notes, they have to give me an explanation why. And then there's also a set of questions that check for understanding and allows for them to add a copy of their work for those short check for understanding questions. So what makes this great for me as the teacher is that every time a student answers this exit ticket, I can go back to the response tab. I can create a spreadsheet by clicking on the spreadsheet button. And now what I have for every student that submits, I have an exit ticket where I can see whether or not they're prepared for the live session because I can see the score that they got on those check for understanding questions. And it also provides a link which gives me a little preview that I can see of the scratch work that they uploaded. So I have accountability for them taking the notes over the video and whether or not, at least a decent indication of whether or not they're ready, how prepared they are for the whole class help session, all in one handy spreadsheet. So one quick word about the settings that are in here by default. You'll notice that the only questions that are mandatory, and that is indicated by the red star for anybody that's not familiar with Google Forms, the only fields that are mandatory are just their basic information, such as last name, first name, and period, and I do have it set to automatically collect emails. The reason for that is since I do assign this as homework, if a student gets interrupted, I want them to be able to click the submit button. I'll show you what that looks like from the student side, without losing what they did. So, for example, let's say that this student just had dinner and goes back to the entrance ticket. He or she clicks on it, and it tells them that they can edit their response, and they can go back, and it picks up where they left off. And so the settings that I use to accomplish that are right here. So I choose for it to automatically collect email addresses. I also have it automatically send response receipts, which means there's always some kind of a message in their email that says they submitted it. I do restrict it to people just in our organization, but if you have students that use Gmail accounts or, something else that's not necessarily from your school, you can uncheck that if you want to. And this is the important part. For them to be able to come back where they left off, it needs to be limited to one response and allow them to edit after submit, so that they can come back to it. And then you want to make sure that you have the max number of file uploads so that it'll accept a screenshot from every kid. The other thing that I have is under presentation. Whenever the student submits their work, it gives them a confirmation message. And in my case, it's where I put the code for our Google meeting. So I'll show you what that looks like here from the student side. So the student submits it, and typically there's the code right there for our whole class meeting. So the reason that I do that is because I want students to have to actually do the entrance ticket before they have the code to come to the in-class meeting. But you can always change that if you want to. And again, the way you do that is by editing right here under presentation. You can change the confirmation message to be whatever you want.